Good evening and welcome to the August 22nd meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. Tonight with me is Vice President Rhonda Schwartz, our Secretary Sean Harold, Member Gordon Rundle, and our school's representative Eric Roseborough. I'm also very excited to welcome tonight our new Economic Development Director, Todd Cook, to the meeting. And in the audience is also our Executive Assistant, Eder Lopez. I will call the meeting to order, and I have confirmed that we have a quorum this evening, and proper notice of the meeting has been given. We do not have anyone in the audience tonight. I'm assuming no public comment was received. All right. We'll move on to the consent of regular session meeting minutes for June 27th. Those were previously distributed. Are there any other comments or edits? All right, seeing none, we'll approve those with consent. Moving on to approval of the claims and expenses for this month. Todd, are there any kind of large outstanding items that you wanted to go over?
We did pay Globe Asphalt. That's a pretty good chunk of money there. For both the 16th Street lot. I think we approve maybe one of those was for a change order?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw that maybe in the minutes. Otherwise, I think they're pretty standard. Mm-hmm. I'll be learning more as we go. If there's anything anybody wants me to follow up on, happy to do that.
All right. Any questions for Todd on the claims and expenses?
Don't think so.
All right. I will entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the claims as submitted.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the claims and expenses, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. All right, next on the agenda is the director's report. The big exciting tonight, a presentation from Todd, our annual report to the overlapping taxing units. Bill, if you could bring that up.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to go through this. It's quite a bit of information. I'll go through the slides. Feel free to stop and ask questions. So we'll go to the second slide. This is report is required by House Enrolled Act 1242. For redevelopment commissions. Yep. There you go. Thank you. And you can go to the third slide. Thank you. So in here, it's kind of broken down into 4 parts. Which is kind of a review of TIF for those that are a couple members new this year. Mm-hmm. So this might be information that you want to dig into a little bit. Just let me know. But basically, the summary of TIF, the 2021 financial review, 2021 community impacts, and 2022 economic development initiatives. And some of these will be progressing through the process if you've been on the commission for a couple of years. Next slide. Thank you. What's the role of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission? Revitalization, redevelopment, business attraction, business retention, small business and entrepreneurial development, brownfield remediation, increase commercial and overall assessed value, AV, that term will probably come up frequently, and address workforce development needs. And you can kind of see in the concentric circles over there that, you know, it really has a lot of good values. So I thought that was, and this the picture is the Wilcox building,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
Yeah, I thought that looked familiar. Next slide, please. Economic development plans and amendments. These are some reasons that we have the plan. There will be, I think, an amendment process coming up that was maybe approved earlier this year, but they kind of wanted to start that after I got my feet on the ground a little bit. So maybe that'll come back next in September. Next slide, please. I left this in here because I think it's really kind of cool. You know, again, showing you kind of where the AV is. The purple is kind of the downtown, and Speedway's kind of in that yellow box there. So you kind of see. I mean, I don't think it's unusual in a city that, you know, you have tremendous AV kind of in the downtown area. But, you know, I think we're going to be growing that, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get an update of this slide in the future.
Yeah, it's interesting what this would look like now after COVID. Downtown's probably maybe a little less, and the outer areas may have grown more.
Yeah, yeah.
You can almost see Crawfordsville kind of in those colors, and then Main Street there. It's a cool map.
Mm-hmm. So I think next slide. Accomplished using TIF. Tax increment financing, or TIF, is a tool which captures new AV, new property taxes from new development, captures increases in real property taxes, and at times depreciable personal property taxes, and usually captures only commercial and industrial property. I think that the next slide, it really gives you kind of a good vision on how it works, because the property, the taxes are always going to be collected at what they were on the base, and then you're capturing the increment as part of the TIF process, and using those dollars to build out infrastructure, which might be a parking garage or roads, sewers. You just can't use it for operating funds. It's fairly limited, and it's limited by statute. But I think this diagram does a pretty good job of kind of spelling that out for you if it's a new concept to you. Any questions about kind of that model? If not, we can go on to the next slide. There again, the next couple of slides give you a little bit more information on what TIF dollars can be used for. Infrastructure, use TIF on a pay-as-you-go basis to make debt service payments on bonds. And we'll have a little bit more on the bonds later in the presentation in the fiscal update. And again, you can't use them for operating costs. assuming there was some infrastructure that went in as part of this building that was built.
Don't remember, honestly.
I'm guessing. I think it's
I
been,
think we did redo the sidewalks in front of
Okay.
the
Yeah,
Gilman,
typically.
the Gilman building, yeah.
typically it's a public, sidewalks are public assets, so it's really public assets, not private assets. That's kind of the determining factor. And so on the next slide, gives you kind of a list of eligible projects: utilities, rail, roads, trails, land acquisition, building acquisition, land surveys, equipment, demolition, environmental testing and remediation, lease agreements, workforce development programs. I'm kind of thinking that that's a fairly new addition to use TIF. It came up actually in a conference that I was at last week on using TIF dollars for training, which was a little bit new to me. Next slide, please. This is just a summary of all of the allocation areas. Allocation areas are where the dollars can be spent. So you'll capture the increase from a project that's built, and you can spend it within the allocation area. So and the next slide shows you all of our allocation areas. So the big blue one is the consolidated. I think there were initially a couple of TIFs consolidated into one. So that's just kind of those two slides kind of go hand in hand. Okay, the financial review. Next slide. Thank you. You can go up to the next one. Thank you. So here's kind of a comparison of tax rates year over year. We're up a little bit in 2022. Next slide. Okay. Here's a summary of TIF revenues from 2017 through 2021 for the various districts. The consolidated area includes it's the only one that includes personal property.
Which is quite a bit of our AV.
Oh, it's significant. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Allison's and Praxair. It's really an advantage to have those types of investments in your TIF. You can go to the next slide. This slide shows you estimated revenues versus collections. The 2021 estimates in blue, 2021 actuals in orange, and the 2022 estimates in gray. So you see the personal property really is continuing to push that up. Next slide. On this, we have a summary of debt service and lease rental payments. I think, do you all get copies of the monthly LWG report? These are just numbers really that are pulled out of there, but are part of our obligation to present annually. Next slide. This one we have collections versus debt service. Revenues versus debt service. I think we're doing pretty good there.
Just need a hotel.
Just need the hotel. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And that's kind of the section. We can go to 2021 community impact projects, primarily Founder Square and the 1300 block. There was next slide shows us the 2021 TIF expenditures outside of debt service, which kind of relates back to that earlier slide. These numbers are up a little bit. We got a lease. We got a rent increase here in the new headquarters. Legal was up a little bit. Engineering was up a little bit as well. But I think there was, maybe $25,000 difference or so from year over year. Next slide. Just an updated brochure on Founder Square. Last year's, I think we added the Valvoline and Freddy's over last year. And I've heard that there is another company that's maybe looking at, is it lot 2, I think. Is that lot 2?
1, I believe, north of El
behind
Rodeo.
Crew?
Oh, kind of in the middle there?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. They've reached out to me anyway, saying that they're making a run at it. So that's, not going to leave a lot of sites left. We have some photos on the next slide of the current activity out there, the Freddy's that's open. You have the senior housing. There's just really groundwork going on. I'm meeting with that developer tomorrow to kind of get, kind of a better update on how progress is and kind of their timeline.
Good. Yeah, we've had a lot of residents interested in that project.
Yes, yes. Then when Valvoline, I think the Valvoline and the hotel will be completed yet this year. So lots of good activity in Founder Square. And then we've got some updates on the next couple of slides of ongoing projects, the 1300 block. They've got really all of their drywall up. I toured it last Wednesday, and it's just kind of amazing the difference. You can really see it taking shape over 2 years. Even once you get the drywall up, you can really kind of see it. And they've got the base. They had the base coat on the third floor of paint, and they think they'll be open in a mid-October timeframe.
And that's just the housing, the condos, or that's the tenants on the first floor?
I think I think the condos, but I think Le Peep should be open this fall as well. Didn't get a timeline on that. And the Vine and Table, possibly by the end of the year. I think the other tenant is a home design or home furnishings business that probably will be a little bit maybe after the first of the year. But they are working on all of the spaces currently. Then we've got on the next slide the 16th Street parking lot. It has 94 spaces in it, I believe. It was full Brickyard weekend, both days. And I think they even turned over some spaces on Saturday because there were two different races. So that's been a good, I think, partnership for the Parks Department and the SRC.
Yeah, I think it turned out really well and sets a good precedent of what that corridor could look like.
Mm-hmm. And we're starting to look at the parking lot. We call it the triangle parking lot on the other side of the Speedway gas station also. Trying to get some budget numbers for that. Then on the next slide, just kind of an updated photo on the 1426 Main Street parking lot. That was kind of in the planned projects in the prior year, so we'll give you an update on that. How it turned out, I think it's turned out really nicely. And then on the next slide, we have a final photo of the municipal center, because it was under progress in the last report, so we thought we would add that as well. And then kind of looking on the next slide at into 2022, the current projects we're looking to push hard on in 2022 on the next slide are the Wilshaw. And that photo has not changed, of course.
I don't think the crane's there anymore.
The crane's out.
Soon to be back again.
Soon to be back again. Absolutely. And then also the Borage development. And other matters as they come up. So happy to entertain any questions or comments, concerns.
Yeah, just a reminder of all the work that we have done. It's really quite a list and looks great. So I'm looking forward to continuing the progress.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for the director's report this evening?
Nothing this evening.
All right. Next on our agenda is 2 items of new business. The first one being the upcoming Speedway Chamber of Commerce Jazz Fest, which will be held on the SRC parking lot next to Barbecue and Bourbon. I think you might have a little bit more information for us.
Yes, September 17th. The band is Gene, is it Markovich? Who has played there previously. Yes, the request is for use of the SRC lot, and also the chamber's working with the town on using the stage as well. They would sign a certificate of insurance as well as part of that. But this is all due to This was previously held at Daredevil, and Daredevil was booked up, so needing to find an alternative location. This seemed like a good fit.
Yep, I only wish we had a pocket park, but maybe next year. Next year. Next year.
Next year.
All right, well, I will entertain a motion to approve the use of the SRC lot for the Chamber of Commerce Jazz Fest.
I'd like to make a motion that we allow the use of the parking lot for the Chamber of Commerce's Jazz Fest.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain?
Aye.
All right. Passes 3 to
0 to 1.
There you go. Yeah, I like it. All right. Next item is Resolution 2022-03 regarding, with respect to the EDA for the Borage Project. Todd, do you have some more information on that?
Yes, we did get a request for extension of a couple of terms in the EDA. I think during their pre-construction, they hit or their site work, they hit a underground storage tank that has caused both a timing delay and an additional capital outlay. But they really are just concerned at this point about, the time delay. So they were looking to move the opening date which triggered a couple of other dates, one being the equipment. There was a commitment on purchasing equipment and reimbursement, so that schedule would be impacted, as well as a commitment to operate the Borage for a period of time. So basically, the schedule has been extended, I think, 4 months out, basically. So every other of those time periods got pushed out by the same amount. So we're just kind of making all the terms equal in the EDA. So there's the request tonight is for approval of an amendment to the EDA to address those three matters.
Great. I remember when Josh came, it's been a few months now, to explain to us his project, and I can't wait for them to be here. It's good to see the work that's happening there, and I can't wait for them to open right in time for race time of the year, so that'll be great. Well, I will entertain a motion for Resolution 2022-03.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-03, a resolution of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission approving an extension for certain commitments with respect to the Economic Development Agreement related to the Borage Project.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2022-03, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. All right. We do not have any old business on the agenda tonight. Are there any other announcements or events coming up?
The Taste of Speedway is coming up on Thursday, September 22nd, from 5 to 7 at Delara, and you can purchase tickets in advance on Eventbrite or Beer and Designs or Founders Grounds Coffee. They're $15 in advance and $20 at the day of.
Awesome. It's always a great event. All right. If there are no other items tonight, I will adjourn the meeting at 6:30.